Chris, I
Your
trust
face
you
is like
so
very
little.
close to.
I try. I trust you so little that I realized that I had forgot to mute us on the intro screen, and I was like, no, I can't even trust him this one time. He's gonna say something, or he's gonna sing, and it's gonna scare everybody on
Just
the other
saying.
end. I found that sounds very anti-creative. You sing whatever you want during the intros. Hi, my name's Shawn Shelley.
No, I used to not sing when I was. Anyway, keep going with the intro.
No, 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 no. Tell me about this Footloose story.
This is not sorry. I just I sing a lot more nowadays, just like around the house and stuff. Like I used to not sing at all. Like singing wasn't a thing that I did, and I'm not good at it at all. But like I like to, sing around the house and stuff. But I didn't. I remember one time my wife when we first met, she was like, "Can you sing something?" I was like, "I don't sing." And then now I probably annoy her with how much like random singing I do, just like random songs. Like I'm not a good singer. I think I can hold a tune fairly decently well. But anyway, just a little tidbit.
Oh, I think that's a product of having kids. You just start singing stuff. To
Yeah, absolutely.
My name's Shawn Shelley. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame, and now he's officially an influencer. Which topic of today's discussion? Very nice. Is Yangchen, the Dawn of Yangchen, pardon me. It's our spoiler free review. So it's going to be a little concise, a little vanilla, but we wanted to get this one out fast. And then in
Not
like,
vanilla.
well, no, I mean, we got to
Chocolate
keep
chip
it.
cookie dough. Peanut
I
butter.
guess
Wait,
I got to keep it a
wait.
little vanilla, but vanilla's not bad, Chris.
French.
That's the
Wait.
important
French
thing here.
vanilla. Rocky road. Chocolate chip peanut butter cookie
Cookie
dough.
dough. Whoop.
Scoop. There it
There it is.
is. Scoop. That was my son's
Same for the
favorite
podcast
song.
right there.
Like he would dance every time it comes on.
This
Do a little
that
baby
was
dance.
that was the best Geico commercial. Wait, I don't even remember if it
Yes.
was Geico or Progressive, but like that was very catchy.
Yeah, I think it was
Um,
Geico. Yeah.
I think it was Geico. Progressive has their own slew of like that kind of commercials also, but I think
Hmm.
that was Geico. Uh, but much better than I don't like the Salt and Pepper song as much, like just the song itself,
Eh,
and so it's not as catchy to me as that one. But this will be slightly vanilla, but that's okay because vanilla is still delicious. But we're keeping it spoiler free, relatively short. Not in the next 2 weeks because Chris, my week is I've had a crappy week, but next week's gonna be better because I'm going on vacation for like 8 days. That being said, we're gonna pre-record 2 other episodes, and then after that, we're gonna do our obscenely long, thorough
yes.
review of the Yangchen
Man,
movie.
our last Kyoshi one was like a 2.5 hours. Maybe it was longer than that.
This
It
is
was
like
a
a
long.
season. This is a season of a show right here that we're trying to talk about. You know what I mean? So we may split it into one episode or into 2 episodes or keep it at one. We might just do it and then see how we feel. But long story short, that
Yeah.
won't be in the next 2 weeks. It'll be the one after that. So we're going to give you the spoiler free now, in depth, a couple weeks from now, if that's cool. But Chris, before we start, how was your week? I've already kind of interjected mine.
You know what? My week is better than last week. Things turn around. around. I'm not nearly as pissed off as last week before that. Shout out to Caitlin. She asked how one of us would do it, just how we're doing in general. Probably because of that. And I haven't responded yet because I just sometimes things just go out of my head. And anyway, um, no, it was pretty good. I just applied for a new job, which I am. Uh, my boss was like, "Yeah, you'll be good for this, probably." I'm like, "All right," and I won't feel bad if I don't get that one as much because that one's a
Oh,
little
a
bit
new
more
job
out of my
internally?
wheelhouse. Yes, internally.
Okay,
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
minute I was like,
I
Chris
don't.
didn't get his promotion. He's like, screw these guys.
No,
I
I am
deserve
not
better.
that. No, I have a good thing going. I think in my current employment, I don't. There's
I
not
know,
that
but
much
I like to
around.
picture really dramatic Chris, like the opposite Chris.
Yeah.
Just extra spicy drama. That's what he likes.
F this. I'm going somewhere else.
That's the Chris Ford I know.
I'm going to Quiznos.
Go to
I hear
Chris.
they got benefits.
Eat Chris no subs.
Yeah.
Anybody remember those commercials?
Uh,
Terrifying.
I don't. So
Oh,
yeah, I don't know. We're doing a little better. Things are, I mean, a little rough week, I think. Just my schedule's all off. I have to watch my kids unexpectedly 2 of these days. But anyway, long story short, my week's great.
good. Well, I'm glad it took an improved turn, and even if you don't get jobs, like when you're expressing that kind of interest and your bosses are taking an interest, like I always feel like that's a good thing by itself. But I'm also not a
I've
career expert,
been
so
I've been very busy in reorganizing my shelving space. Now Avatar finally like opened up all these boxes that I had, and so my TV. So this is my TV here. I'm not. This is not like MTV Cribs. I'm
it's
showing off my big
it's
TV. It's just like I
this is
thought.
my TV here. I don't have cables, so there's no signal, and
You do you remember Redman's MTV Cribs?
no, I don't.
You know who Redman is a rapper,
Yeah.
and he
Well, I always
he did
think of I
MTV
just think of
Cribs.
him as like Method and Red. I didn't know that he did his
Yeah,
own
yes,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, they're yeah. He did MTV Cribs. It was like the cheapest thing. He was and it was just funny. Anyway, uh, Avatar related stuff. So I have my TV stand there, and I decided to put I had all the Avatar stuff on this shelf over here. But I was like, man, I got a lot of stuff, and I could just move it. And I had some anime stuff over here. Anyway, I added a shelving space here, which gave me way more room. So now all my Avatar figures and stuff are over here, and I got it in the order of the elements: fire, air, water, earth. Earth need way more earth stuff. It's like pretty much just Toph and a statue of it's Earth, like Cabbage Man, like that's how low Earth is. They're coming out with a Jet action figure,
Nope,
so
I'm
looking
out.
forward to that. Um,
Somebody, Chris, the other day,
I
somebody at softball said my cat at a softball game during the softball game. One of my teammates, who I knew was a nerd, but I didn't know he was like a us nerd.
yeah.
He what happened? I like dropped a ball or something playing catch, and he yelled, "He's like my cabbages!" Something on that order, and
Oh,
I
nice.
was so proud of him in that moment
Yeah.
because that means that not only is he a nerd, but he knows that I'm a nerd, right? Like we connected.
Yeah. Cool. I wish I knew nerdy people like that. Oh, there's also a new action figure for Blue Spirit, new action figure for this Rhino. It's freaking great. It's a great Rhino there.
Yeah,
But
solid, solid.
Fire Nation, lots of Fire Nation has like the most people, right? You got oh crap.
Oh, what just happened?
You know,
Oh, I think I just threw up a
yeah.
little bit.
Fire Nation has the most people, right? Got a lot of Zuko, but you got the Fire Lord. I liked having this transition here between Aang and the Fire Lord because it's their fight right there. Um, and oh yeah, that Rhino that was it's Komodo Rhino. That's what it's called. That's pretty
Which is
cool
a
from McFarlane.
messy. I mean, it's cool, but it's a messy name. Like it's a cool animal.
Yeah,
I
and
think I
then
would call him a kimono.
yeah, other pops over there. When it comes to Air Nomad, it's just like Aang and Appa and Momo, and that's
But at
it.
least real estate
It's not,
wise, Appa takes up a lot of space.
he does, yes, and I got two different Appas.
He's got
And then
volume to him.
yeah, and Water Tribe, just Korra, Katara, Sokka, and Amon sneaks in there. And then yeah, Earth Kingdom is just Toph, Suki, um,
Listen, I don't like
Boomy. I
Pops
found
that
like an
much,
old
but
Boomy figure.
I don't like Pops that much, but Pop Suki is just cute AF. Look at her.
Yeah, that's a good one there.
That's a great pop. She lends herself well to that.
I did order a like 20-inch 3D print from someone. I hope it's legit and I hope it pans out fine.
Like an Etsy thing.
It's a sort of like so I ordered a 3D Kyoshi thing that I'll just have to paint myself, which is fine because I can paint action
If you
figures.
if you ever order the files, if you buy the files, I have multiple people with 3D printers that then yeah, same story, but like they would charge you for the material and then you pay for the file.
Mm,
So if you ever see files that look legit, like if somebody's literally selling the the file
yeah.
for the print, I guess I don't know. I'm looking for a better name, but I don't know what it's called. But
No, I get what you're saying.
I can hook you up.
Schematic,
Yeah, it's like a
maybe.
CAD file, I guess.
Yeah.
Schematics.
But yeah. But no, I'm looking. I'm like for the longest time, my basement's not been organized. I've just been slowly trying to reorganize it, get my shelving spaces down. Right now, there's just a bunch of action figures on the floor, which I don't like that. They need to be up on the shelf. So a lot of rearranging stuff going on. in my world. But anyway, all's good.
Good. Uh, I don't have anything to show, but Chris, I will have some rearranging in the future ish. Long story short, is this wall over here is a small wall and it's very ugly. And right now it's got like that cheap plastic, like, I don't even know what to call, like college kid shelves on it. And it's holding up my DVDs and stuff. And it's just like bowing. It's just straight up like bowing. But I think I'm
Hmm.
going to sort of refinish that wall and put, the shelves that you put the rails, the vertical rails up on the wall, and then you like
Yes.
can hook in. And I'm gonna do
Yep.
a whole wall of those for my Switch stuff. I think I'm gonna have a nice Nintendo Switch wall. I hope
Mm.
maybe a cute Nintendo sign or similar. Um, well, hey, let's jump into the novel, which we both finished within the past week. I think.
Yes. I want you to go first.
Me to go
Just
first.
first general thoughts. We'll get say a little bit more detail on the way. But give me your high level thoughts.
High level thoughts. I stand by my sort of quasi thoughts last week, which is better than the second Kyoshi novel, not quite as good as the first Kyoshi novel. I think FC, my critique of him this time, we'll try to do like a compliment sandwich. My critique of him this time is he doesn't do a great job of describing action scenes. Sometimes it's hard for me to visualize action scenes that he's trying to describe. That could be a me problem. I don't read a lot of books, but that's one of my qualms with it. Two of my positives of it are that A, I love the character of Yangchen. She is a
Mm-hmm.
tremendous character. And B, I like how at the end of the book and the story kind of wraps up, but then I like how it kind of ties up knots, but while also giving you like hints of maybe things to come after. Like it both ties the knots and sets up the sequel in a way that feels not forced. So like it was a satisfying ending to a standalone book, but still with that like come see what's happening next time hook. And then I think I've already said this once, but I think it bears repeating. Is it kind of sets up like a bad heist, not as a bad heist, yeah, a mediocre heist story. It kind of sets up like a mediocre heist
Yeah.
story that just happens to be with characters and subject matter that I love. That's my thoughts.
No. So my general thoughts. First of all, I really enjoy reading the book. One thing I really just love getting back to the Avatar universe.
The first
Um,
thing too, just
when
us acknowledging that we like reading books of any type, like that's a big step.
yes, yeah,
That's
we
not
don't. Yeah,
small praise.
yeah. I think this is, along with the Kyoshi novels, I think this is a must read for Avatar fans, without a doubt. When I'm comparing to other Kyoshi novels, I think this is a step down from even the second one, which I love the second one.
Okay.
I think the first one is like
The first one,
amazing.
I think
Like,
we would both agree that the first Kyoshi novel is maybe one of the better books we've ever read.
uh, yeah. I mean, and again, I don't read that many
We
books,
don't. We're
but
hey.
to put in the context, how many books, what books I've read, uh, all of the Hunger Games
It's
novels,
pretty
all of
bad that we're
the
just listing the books we've read like it's a.
oh man, we're not. I mean, if I and I don't, I read comic books, so there's
Fair.
that.
That's words. That
My
counts.
teacher, my not my teacher, my sister who's an English teacher says that counts.
The latest
But when it comes to,
Harley Quinn's, the season 3 has like 4 episodes up,
yeah,
and they make a handful of like I find very funny Batman comic joke references. But anyway, another time.
oh nice.
If you haven't watched it yet,
I
dude.
need to catch up. I need to catch up. I'm only on episode one. Fell asleep at episode two last night. Um, so anyway, so to put in context, how many books I've read. That's terrible. The Hunger Games books, the Divergent books. There's another set of books that I read that I liked. I can't even remember them. And then the Kyoshi novels. I never read the Harry Potter books. I know you have. But yeah, so that's
Yep.
put that in reference.
But it's all young
And the
adult stuff.
Kyoshi
Like it's in the
novel,
same
yeah,
it's in the
why?
same sort of target
Yeah,
audience.
yes. And so I put the Kyoshi novel probably well above the first one, well above either one of those, any of those books. I think the second one is really great. I love the second one. Quality wise, I put it on par with probably some of the best of the Hunger Games that I've read, and probably some of the best of. Actually, I enjoy Divergent series more than the Hunger Games. Um,
I do not
but
like
that's
either
that's
of
me.
those because I tend to veer away from the dystopia
Yeah.
because I have awful nightmares even as an
Yeah.
adult. And I don't know why I just said that out loud on my podcast, other than that's a real thing that I have.
Oh, but Sean, you did have a great dream that you told me about.
I had an amazing dream. I'll tell you at the end, remind me at the end of this. It was the best dream I've ever
Okay, okay,
had that was
all right.
appropriate to explain on a podcast.
Yes. Okay. So that's in my review. The I found this book to be great, and no, I found it to be good. I think it it lacked direction for probably a good 2/3 of the book. Um, I think what you described, but that he doesn't describe action scenes that well. I I'm not sure if I agree with that because I don't think there's much action in this book.
Okay, fair
Like,
enough.
there's not like a like in the Rise of Kyoshi,
Yeah.
like
Well,
the action that I feel like I can visualize it and see like when she's fighting Zhu and it's like in her eyes glowed and she raised the air column up to so and so's sky and she held him with his hand and he breathed fire at her and she sucked it out and then she sucked out like his air and then she let him go. Like, okay, I can easily visualize those things.
even that I recall I had to read twice, or like when she
Yeah,
earthbended up from like the bottom of the ocean, that whole thing.
that was a little hard. That was harder.
I had to
That was
read that.
definitely harder, I think.
This one, to your point, there really is only one part that I would even kind of describe as an action scene, and even then they kind of cut away from it a little bit.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
weird. But even then, I had to read it a couple times to like try to visualize what was happening, and I
Hmm.
just vaguely remembered feeling the same way about the Kyoshi novels.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, to me, there wasn't as much action, which Avatar has action in it, and I
lots
felt
of
like
it.
that wasn't not lacking at all. And either one of the Kyoshi novels, there's plenty of great fights in that, which is weird to say as you're reading passages, but there's plenty of great fights in those novels. I feel like I'm just lacking here. Like Yang Chen was fairly like reserved in her fighting, even though I felt like okay, she is a BA. There's certain scenes and moments where she clearly shows her level of mastery and things, but it's not like a holy crap, guys, like this is the avatar we're dealing with. Um, but I don't know. Man, so I feel like the action was a little lacking.
Is it fair to say
I feel
then
like
because it's a different style of, but like it's not that it's an issue because as Avatar fans, like we have kind of an expectation, but the different style of the book itself, like there was less action in the second
mhm.
Kyoshi novel than the first, and so it was a similar feeling to that. Like he was writing a different kind of story, I guess. Maybe
I
I'm
think
just
this one is a
rationalizing.
much different. No, I think this is a much different kind of story. So I think when I think I try to put things kind of Game of Thrones perspectives, right? This felt like people were playing the Game of Thrones, but not fighting the Game of Thrones. Like there was a lot of like, I gotta politicize with this person, I gotta talk with this person, I gotta think about this person's mindset and what it means for if this happens, what it means to these people and these people. How can I manipulate the game? This person has to worry about like a lot of people are trying to position themselves in a political manner in a way. Like the big weapon, I'm not gonna spoil it, but the big weapon that they have here, like people are like where is this weapon at? Like Yang Chen is like, I can't have this weapon get out to there. I gotta find it, find out what it is. Now I gotta like sneakily hide here. I gotta hire this person, gotta do this. And there's a lot of maneuvering the chess pieces on a chessboard game, and not a lot of just boom 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 fighting type of deal.
It's like 90% setup, 10% payoff, as opposed to the usual Avatar where you might be looking at like 60% setup, 40% payoff.
Yeah,
You know,
like it is a different like it is a much different story. Like Kyoshi's story was like, I'm gonna find this mother effer and I'm gonna kill him. And
first I'm
like
gonna kill you, then I'm gonna kill you. Then I'm gonna
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't
Like
quite that extreme, but
Shadow Kyoshi was a little bit more political because right, she's dealing with like here's his Fire Lord, and like she has to go to like this palace. She has to present herself a certain way and stuff. There's a little bit of that Game of Thrones aspect too, but it was still like Kyoshi's way more like one one mind. And then with Aang and Korra, there's like little like oh I got a position of power in here. I gotta like move chess pieces. It's like no, we gotta solve a problem. Most of the time, it's gonna involve us kicking someone's butt. Like we'll try to solve things out in a in a nice manner, but there's gonna be some action that happens.
I without trying our best not to spoil or go into too much detail, Chris, last time we talked, you were still in a place where you're getting close to seeing what, and so we keep saying the weapon. That's not like a secret. That's like in the prologue
Hmm.
of the book or the summary
Synopsis,
of the
yeah.
book or whatever. So that there's this secret weapon.
Weapon of mass destruction, almost, yeah.
And so on one hand, when I figured out what the weapon was, on like my initial reaction was sort of disappointed. I expected something like
Yeah,
bigger with
yeah.
more
Like,
pizzazz, more whatever. But I will say that the longer I got into it, not the weapon like potency itself, but I love what they picked. Like I love the sort of origin story for the weapon
hmm
that they picked.
yes.
And I thought that was really cool. So I don't know if it makes sense that I was simultaneously disappointed
I
and pretty excited.
completely understand you
Okay,
right now.
cool,
I for
cool.
some reason I completely understand it because yeah, when I was first reading it and understanding what the weapon was, I was like, oh, it's
I'm
this,
like,
and then
come
I was
on,
like,
man, that's it.
I
Like
mean, yeah, yeah.
the
But
whole
then the
world
more
of
you think about, it, you're
Avatar, and
like,
you're gonna pick that?
yeah. But the more you think about, it, you're like, oh, okay, well, I get it. Like that is a very dangerous weapon, and no one has like it's, and then you start thinking about like, all right, like there's like things political powers can change depending on who has this weapon and things like that.
As a weapon of mass destruction, which I think somewhere it literally described it as that. That might have been a summary or
In the
something.
in the synopsis, it
So
said
maybe
a
not.
weapon of mass destruction.
So what's important here is not in the book. I don't think it says that in the book. I think it says that
Hmm.
in
True,
the summary.
correct.
But as a weapon of mass destruction, it's underwhelming. But as like kind of a origin story for another Avatar thing,
Hmm.
it's pretty cool.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
uh
Can't wait to talk about that more.
yeah, likewise. Chris, anything else in particular that stood out to you that needs addressed on our
Oh,
spoiler free side?
so I said this before. I absolutely love Yang Chen. I She might be my favorite characteristic of any Avatar because she's not like a normal air nomad. Like like she is so in the Avatar Last Airbender when she's talking to Aang, she seems so much more holier than thou. Like I'm Avatar Yang Chen, young Airbender. Now, even in the Kyoshi novels, when she meets Kyoshi, she's very much like she just comes off like this higher
That's got to
being,
be
even to
older,
other
chiller Yang
avatars.
Chen or something.
Yeah, 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 probably. Um, and so to see this Yang Chen, who's she's 17 or about 18, who's like, all right, I'm gonna play this game. I gotta trick this person. I gotta talk a certain way here. I gotta like be me and stuff. And I got like she's like screw my past. Like and that's a really interesting thought. Which again, also I feel like I realized I tweeted this out. Like the more I learn about new avatars, backstories and stuff, the more I feel like they would be like proud of Korra because a lot of Korra are just like she got disconnected from the past and and thinking through Kyoshi novels and the Yang Chen novel, like all that knowledge, it's not as beneficial as you think it is. Like it's a lot of all these thousands of lifetimes don't agree on stuff.
It's like
Like
it's
and
like
they
an
all can't help you.
encyclopedia, but it's
Yeah.
like you're still talking about an encyclopedia of past crap. It's not like predicting the future, Which, to
Yeah,
be fair to Aang, he didn't listen to his past lives either, I guess. So
exactly.
whichever.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
No, I bring up Korra because all the time people are like, "Oh, Korra killed the past lives." I'm like, one, she didn't. Two, it's not that big of a deal that you think it is.
uh,
Like, sure, I miss them too. Like,
one
but
one thing that I think, so kind of tying into that, that I am excited to see is based on what we learned in the second Kyoshi novel about Kuruk, and then sort of technically about Yangchen in the process,
hmm
and it kind of left like the tiniest bit of a bad flavor of Yangchen in my mouth. Like I had a great taco, but it had
hmm
cilantro on it, and that was the little bit of bad flavor in my mouth. No offense, cilantro people, but I
was it
want
a
to.
hard shell taco?
What's that?
Was
It's
it a hard shell taco?
Chris, you know I take my tacos soft and evenly spread.
Okay,
Um,
good, 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 good.
I disagree with the notion that every bite has to be the same, but I prefer a consistent experience. I do agree. Um,
Everybody doesn't necessarily have. Well, no, I'm sorry.
everybody doesn't have to
Everybody
be the
doesn't have to
same.
be the same, but it has to all be
Consistency
good. It
is.
can't. It can't just be like lettuce and shell. Like what the
I don't want
what are we
lettuce and
doing
shell at
here?
top and then meat at the bottom. Taco
Yeah,
Bell, take a lesson. But there was like at the end of those, just like a little bit of a bad flavor for Yangchen because like there is some amount of
yeah,
negligence noted by
yes,
correct. And so I want the second book, this because this book didn't really do it for me. This book made me feel like, oh, she's
yeah.
good
You're right.
with the
You're right.
spirits or whatever. And so I hope the next book about Yang Chen gives us like scratches some of that itch. Like, what did she do to neglect them? You know,
Mm,
this one I expected more of that in this one, and there was almost none of it. Like, what little spirit was mostly like, oh, she's kind of
yeah.
good spirit leader person.
Random tangent. I've been lately thinking about like the spirits in the Avatar universe are mostly like well intentioned. They're like, hey, don't burn down the forest and stuff. But sometimes I'm like, this ain't your land. Like you have your whole
You get your whole
spirit
land.
world. But so I was recently, my daughter, it was yesterday. She just turned on Beginnings Part One and Part Two because she loves those two episodes, and so I just stopped what I'm doing. I watch it because I love those two episodes. And they did go back to the spirit world, but still, like, there's like, all right, spirits. What? How would you like it if humans, which they want to do, just go into the spirit world and start mining them for like resources? Because they have, and I also came to an interesting notion that the spirit world has unlimited resources, but spirits don't need resources. The human world has very limited resources, but it has something that I think some spirits want. Like spirits don't have nature. Like they definitely care about nature, care about like preserving things, but they don't seem to have that in the spirit world. Probably because in the spirit world everything changes and it's not about preserving things. But so just kind of interested out there's two worlds that people have don't have. The other world has probably more so to what they would need, but spirits just been coming into the human world all the time, being like, "No, you gotta like sometimes burning down the forest. Like, you need to cut down some trees. Like there's a certain balance and stuff, but cut down some trees to build land and stuff like that. Granted, Fire Nation would just burn down whatever, like just for
Yeah,
whatever.
they were doing it to be
But
assholes, not to.
yeah,
D&D, Dungeons and Dragons actually help because in my mind, spirit like in the spirit world is always like, well, there's good spirits and those are the ones that tell you not to burn down the trees, and there's bad spirits and those are the ones that just eat you and capture you
mm,
forever. But then I started playing D&D and there's like a similar construct inside of D&D. It's like it's not really that so much as it's like chaos in the literal sense of like constant change, and that's just kind of all it is. And so when I'm thinking about spirits saying don't burn down trees, like, well, maybe the spirit comes over here and inhabits this group of
mm,
trees because the group of trees is relatively static. It does not change
yeah.
and is calm. So anyway, thanks D&D. That was a weird tangent.
One other thing about the book that I think was lacking compared to the Kyoshi novels was I felt like the POV writing, because even though it's not narrated by anybody, FCE is clearly writing it with other people's point of view. I feel like he split it up too much.
It
Like
was
there were
more like
times
a
where
novel from the other guys. I guess we could say his name.
yeah, it was almost like a
Kavik.
dual
Kavik.
uh, Kavik.
I'm gonna say Kavik
Kavik.
because that we kind of
Yeah,
thought that sounded the most water tribe like.
yeah, sure, Kavik.
Kavik.
Um, yeah, it felt like it was a half and half story sometimes. And even other times, the antagonist had like his own thing for a couple of different chapters. And so like I wanted to focus more on Yang Chen. And so that sometimes that was the hardest parts to read was when it was Kavik's perspective, when Yang Chen wasn't even there. And I'm just like, I
It
just
was
want to get back
it
to
was
Yang
like
Chen.
ballpark 50-50. Like I would have a hard
I
time
think,
saying that Yang Chen had more content than Kavik.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Um, and and that's another thing. I feel like the side he was not as strong as Rongi,
Nah, he's
right?
not as.
And
It's not that he's not
not
an
I don't.
interesting character, but he's not as engaging as Rangi.
Yeah, and I think what it is he has had a long relationship, and so you see how their relationship develops and everything. And he, in this instance, it's not this world. He just him and Yang Chen are getting to know each other. Um, And so, I don't know, that wasn't as strong. And I think the side characters, just general side characters in Kyoshi was like, hey, Ron, the Flying Opera Company, like those side, not comparing them to Kavik, but those side characters were way more interesting than like, I can't even remember a lot of their names, like side characters in Yang Chen. I pretty much just remember, I mean, Jet Soon is there, her sister, but
Pretty
she's there.
limited character,
Um,
right?
yeah, and then she had like people helping her, but they weren't like some of them just weren't that. And so it felt like it was very much focused on Yang Chen and Kavik, and I felt like Yang Chen should have more to do with it. I feel like I'm sounding way too negative on the book. I really enjoyed reading the book. It's a must read for Avatar fans, but I just had a little more issues with it, or maybe a lot more issues with it than the previous novels.
I would say Kavik is the kind of character. I'm gonna just don't take this the wrong way, fans. Please don't. I'm gonna describe him as a Haru-like character in terms of like he's a character with enough interest to
Mm.
carry an episode, right? As like
Oh
protagonist number two
yeah,
of an episode.
I would probably put him like slightly above Haru, but I think that's a good
But that
comparison.
that like give me like an episode character, not a compelling
Yeah,
novel. Like in a novel, that's like to me a novel is like a
yeah,
season of a TV show, and
yeah.
he's not like
Although
a
I was
season protagonist number two.
they had some really great interactions though that I love that we'll get into
I love how they
later.
ended with him.
Just
I love how she ended
yeah,
with
yeah.
her treatment at the end of him. I thought that was great. I was like, yeah, you do that thing I can't talk about right now.
I just like how Yang Chen is like somewhat controlling in a way. Like
Yeah,
not, I mean,
manipulative.
she was manipulative, but she's also she wants to get one up on people almost. Like she's like, I want to be in a position, and she talks about this a lot about being who's in a position of power and stuff like that. Um, she tends to have a higher position of power and than Kavik does in their interactions.
Chris, let's play. Let's end on like because we've been. I wouldn't say super negative, but maybe moderately seem less enthused than I think we are in
Yeah.
reality. Let's end on like a positive. Hit me up with a positive, spoiler-free note.
Love Yang Chen, love her characteristics. I love the relationship she has with the past lives. Um, and I, I mean, I feel like it's a lot of it's just Yang Chen.
I.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry, I
yeah,
interrupted you.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I loved the setup of the figurative conflict. We it's not that it makes for the same level of like engaging story as we've met, but we're talking about Avatar at this point during not a time of crisis, not a time of crisis yet, right? They're like preventing it.
Yeah,
So we're like just seeing an Avatar do Avatar things, and she's doing real Avatar things. She's not off learning different kinds of bending or training or like overcoming serious illness or whatever. Like we're just seeing a regular Avatar in regular Avatar times do regular Avatar stuff, which is something that we don't really get a lot of.
yeah.
And so that was a
And
positive for me.
one of the things I love that's kind of a weird thing, love, is that I love just how much respect that the role of the Avatar has. Like people have to recognize she is the Avatar, and you have to sort of walk on breadcrumbs when you're or breadcrumbs, eggshells when you're around
I
her.
mean, walk on
Breadcrumbs,
dog
that's easy
food,
to walk on.
leftovers, whatever.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yep, absolutely. Chris,
I still really enjoyed reading this novel. I think it's an absolute must read for any Avatar fan. And you can jump into it. You don't have to read the Kyoshi novels to get on this. You can still get into it. Probably give it a like a for letter grade wise. I'd probably give it like a B. Yeah, a B.
do you
Good
just
B.
do you, on a scale of 10 is a B like a 8.5, right? Something like that.
Like a 79.
Oh,
That
that sounds
rounds
like
up to a
C
B.
territory to me. All right. Um,
79 and a half.
I'm gonna give it a
Eight.
80, 83. Like I don't want it to be a B minus territory. I want it to be a low B territory. So I'm gonna give it 83, 8.3, I guess.
$83.
Yep, that's where I'm gonna stand at it. Chris, it'd be really cool. I think if somebody hasn't read the Kyoshi novels yet, I'd kind of like to see somebody read this novel first. That'd be
First,
neat.
yeah.
Like go chronological on it, but um, that's my final thoughts. Is hey, if you've read none of them and you're interested, read this one first and tell us how it rolls along with the Kyoshi novels. Chris, anything else?
I don't have anything else. Tell us about your dream.
Oh, I'm glad you reminded me, Chris. After I got about halfway through this novel, so it was after last week's recording, relative, so I was like 100 to 150 pages in. I had the best dream ever because I was an airbender, and well, I was the avatar, but I was using airbending to fly, and so I could jump really high by pushing out my feet. I didn't have a glider, I just had my feet, and so I was jumping. I was using it to do like inane, stupid stuff, like I was dunking a basketball and things like that. Avatar stuff.
Hmm.
And then something happened, and somebody needed help, and I don't really remember how it happened. But then I went to the Avatar state, but it was kind of like the giant koi fish, except for I was like a giant lizard person kind of thing. Like it was very reptilian. I'm gonna say it was like a dragon person in
Ooh.
from D&D or the lizard people from Skyrim. But anyway, I was like a giant one of those, and then I could just straight up fly, and I was just straight up flying in my dream.
Oh man.
And then there's that little
Sounds
part where
great.
you're waking up, and it's like that you're waking up, and then you're starting to realize it's a dream, and all you want to do is just like I gotta close my eyes, I gotta get back, I gotta keep flying, and I couldn't do it, and it broke my heart. But I
Yeah.
had to wake up and go to work, and it was making me teary eyed just thinking about it. So hey, read this book, and maybe you'll have dreams where you're the avatar and you turn into a flying lizard person.
That's the best endorsement this book could have.
That's the good parts that people get from drugs without any of the bad parts. Don't do drugs,
I
by the
tell you,
way.
if Inception was a real thing, I don't know if I'll be able. I just can't try it because
Yeah,
I'll just be like, I'm gonna go back and do Inception.
I'm
Or
gonna listen, fam. You guys are great. I got my other Inception family in here that treat me way better. I'm gonna go fly and be with them instead. Also, yeah, that sounds like something I would do. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. Let us know hey, don't spoil anything in the comments of this one, please. Don't put any spoilers in the comments. But we'll do our big, super long 1 or 2 episodes in a couple weeks, and then we can spoil everything as much as you want in those comments. In the meantime, my name's Shawn Shaler. That guy down there is Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame, and apparently now novel literature influencer fame. And this is Avatar The Last Podcasters. We'll see you next time.
adios, amigos. Por favor.
Bye.
Saludos.
Bye.
Chalupas isn't even probably not even a Spanish word.
It probably is. Also, my wife just Gmail messaged me, and that noise is gonna show up, man.